They say in baseball, momentum is only as good as the performance of your next starting pitcher. Unfortunately, Zebby Matthews followed a Pablo Lopez gem with a dirty old rock, which sank his team's chances early. Let's see about it now by getting Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to destination for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. A reminder that the Locked On Twins podcast is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm co-host Dave Brown, a professional writer since 1998 and a BBWA member since 2012. Please follow me on Twitter at AnswerDaveBrown if you like. Across cyberspace from me is Brandon Warren, a Twins watcher for the past 30 years or so who not long ago covered the team on a daily basis professionally. He asks, by the way, that you unfollow him on Twitter at Brandon_Warren. In this episode, we will look at one of the shortest, baddest outings by a starting pitcher in Twins history. We'll also check in with the Guardians and Royals, who also lost Saturday. Before we get into all that, Brandon, please tell us who was kind enough to bring us this episode.
Well, tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. By the way, if you are thinking about coming out to the series finale, you can, first of all, catch every pitch of the Twins hometown broadcast with Chris Atterbury and friends on Sirius XM. So if you're not going to make it out there, you can catch it on the radio. It's going to be Yariel Rodriguez taking on Bailey Ober, a couple of righties tangling. It's a 1:10 p.m. first pitch at Target Field. So again, download the Sirius XM app, the SXM app, and search Twins. So we got a fun one coming up, and Rodriguez has really struggled to go deep into games. So might be something to watch, but that doesn't mean that I'm trying to avoid talking about the absolute abject disaster that took place at Target Field on Saturday.
Speaking of failing to go deep into games,
the
Twins lost 15-0. Zebby Matthews allowed 9 runs and 10 hits, including 7 runs in the first. 3 homers allowed total. No walks, though, so he's still on that Zebby Matthews don't walk a lot of guys thing. He also struck out the side in the first inning. That's the good news. The bad news is the Twins have had 6 outings of 9 or more earned runs in 2 or fewer innings in team history. So 9 earned runs, 2 or fewer innings in team history, and 2 of them have been this week, including Bailey Ober, who allowed 9 earned runs in 2 innings in a start on Monday, and this gem by Zebby Matthews. He threw 69 pitches total. It's not nice. None of them, I mean, some of them were nice, but 44 in the first inning. He ended the first inning well. Like I said, he struck out the side. Can you strike out the side when everybody else hits a home run? I don't know.
Dan Haynes says no, it's got to be in order, or at least somebody argued with Dan Haynes. I thought maybe his point was that it has to be in order, but you know what? I think it does too. If you're going to strike out the side, it has to be only facing the 3 guys, I think.
The side. Yeah, the side is them. It's the Blue Jays. And you did strike out the guys who got out, but...
by the way, can I share something with you? Do Young Park of MLB.com fame shared a post of the last time that the Twins got hit like this. And I don't remember exactly what... I think he said last time they allowed... this many hits or something like that. But anyway, it was Twins A's September 11th, 2013. So I was actually covering this game in person, and the Twins lost 18-3 thanks to a 10 spot in the 4th inning. But I do want to go through the lineups that day just because it's so fun to me to revisit those. So Alex Presley playing in center field. He was later relieved by Cleet Thomas of Cleet Sanity fame. By the way, Alex Presley came over in the Justin Morneau trade not long before that. Eduardo Escobar, one of Dave's favorites, playing third base that day. Brian Dozier at second. He was replaced by Doug Bernier. Oswaldo Arcia playing right, later replaced by Chris Colabello. Trevor Plouffe, Josh Willingham, who was later replaced by Eric Fryer. Chris Parmalee, Chris Herman, and Pedro Florimon. Pitching that day for the Twins, you're going to love this. Mike Pelfrey, Josh Renicky, Ryan Presley, Cole DeVries, former podcast partner of mine, Chiron Marti, and Michael Tonkin finished that one out. So how about Michael Tonkin, 11 years apart, pitching in absolute blowouts? And I'm not going to go through the entire A's lineup, but Sonny Gray started that day. Pat Neshek pitched that day. Tommy Malone pitched that day. And Coco Crisp, Josh Donaldson, Yoenis Cespedes. I mean, you name it. There were some fun names there. That A's team was 20 and a half games better than the Twins in the standings after that game.
Yeah, the A's were on they were on the verge of wild cardness, and Josh Donaldson was on the verge of in his mid-20s becoming an everyday major leaguer at that point. So fun times, definitely. It's funny that Michael Tonkin was in that game. You named a bunch of guys that came in later in the game, and it's like all those guys were on the bench, and like they never. I don't remember them playing a lot of those names or playing much or
Cleat Thomas got way too much run in center field that year. And actually, one of my favorite Cleat Thomas stories, because I know you want to hear this, is that one time his kid got to see him in the clubhouse on like a Sunday. And he's like, "It's so good to see you." And like, it was both heartwarming and also just sad because you realized how far these kids live away from their dads who are on the road all year long. So it was like, this is the cutest kid ever, but oh my gosh,
that puts it in too much perspective, like Spinal Tap, Elvis type perspective almost.
Exactly. So I was like, oh man, yeah, that cut both ways.
You didn't ask him though if he's seen his kids or his wife lately. Did you? Like Lance Lynn? No.
I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to get myself into trouble again.
Oh. Yeah. Anyway, so bad day.
Yeah.
Bad day for the Twins, but not that bad. In fact, everything is fine because they didn't lose any ground somehow, again, to the Guardians, who lost to the Pirates, again, somehow. Yep. 3-0. And the Astros also beat the Royals. And if you're looking the other direction, the Tigers lost to the Red Sox, or the Tigers beat the Red Sox, and the Red Sox are the closest pursuers to the Twins for the wild card spot. I tell you what, if I don't know what kind of stunt that I would like, if you can give me something to do, like a polar bear challenge or something, if the Twins blow the playoffs to the Red Sox or even the Tigers, I'll jump in the Minnetonka Lake or something in the middle of December. I mean, nobody cares, so I won't do that probably.
You'll purify yourself in the purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Right. Just as Prince wanted. So as bad as this is and kind of how things are going, tomorrow is a new month. It's September. And I'm telling you right now, in a week, we're like, oh yeah, I remember when the Twins were struggling. That was terrible. And they're not going to be struggling anymore. And they're going to be probably just as close to first place as they are now, but to be playing better, I guarantee you.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, and again, like as easy as it is to think this is going to be the beginning of the end, baseball, it's a game of momentum. And no, not really. I mean, yeah, you have winning streaks and losing streaks, but just because you lost 15-0 one day doesn't mean you're not going to come back out and win 9-4 the next day because Yariel Rodriguez isn't any good. Now, with that said, could they go out and do nothing against him? Yes, we've seen that. That's baseball. And I think that's too why I might just try to distance myself from Twitter during games, because it's not a good mental exercise for people who are trying to be rational and sane about baseball and a 162 game season. And yeah, it's just
it's not good for you,
at all. No, it's not good at all.
But the Twins finished 14-14 in August. That's the first month that they haven't been over 500 on the individual monthly basis. And as Corey said in the TV broadcast, they had a big finish in 2023. There wasn't really anything special about the first 5 months. And then the last month, they really put it to everybody. And I just think there's a good chance that it's going to happen again. I think, if they get Buxton back and maybe Correa back and probably some other people back, I can see it happening. So I don't know what was up with Zebby. His velocity was fine. His location was obviously not good.
Yeah, real bad. Like I started watching Christian Vasquez's glove, and it was not. And the problem is, you can miss and miss out of the zone. You can miss and miss in the zone, or you can miss wherever. But it seemed like every single time that he did miss, it was just dead red right down the middle. That curveball that he hung that was hit out by was that the one?
Was that Billy Wagner's kid or the?
No, I think it was Varsho. Gary Varsho's kid.
Gary Varsho's kid. Who's Horowitz's kid?
Yeah, right. What's that?
Who's Horowitz's kid? He doesn't have a dad.
He has a grandpa though. Do you know who his grandpa is?
I don't remember. It's somebody, isn't it?
It's Jay Horowitz, the PR guy that's been with the Mets for like 50 years.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's everybody with and Griffin Conine just debuted for the Marlins. Wouldn't you believe it? He started out with the Royals, and so it's they're not Royals, Blue Jays. Sorry, but Jeff Conine started out with the Royals. Maybe I was subconsciously thinking that, but anyway, yeah.
I'm glad you're subconsciously thinking something.
Anything at this point, yeah. But no, I think he hung that breaking ball, and I want to say it was to Varsho, and you just kind of could tell at that point that it was not going to be his night.
All right, let's talk about other things after we break here for some lovely sponsorships.
Well, our friends over at Liquid IV want you to know that if you are looking for a cold treat to enjoy while you're at the ball game, whether you're watching it at home or whatever you're up to, Liquid IV should be an option for you. I personally have loved it for a long time, and now that they're a sponsor, I'm just delighted because, we've been keeping that in the house. It's easier to lug around than those big old bottles of whatever sports drink you're buying over at the big box store or whatever like that. You just get, the little sticks, and they're perfect. They're easy, and they taste great. I've tried so many different flavors. I haven't had a single one that I didn't like. The popsicle firecracker that we just got recently, though, is out of this world. It's a festive blend of citrus field, lemon, lime, tart cherry, and raspberry. But if you go on the website, you will find so many different flavors. You could probably find one that you may not even realize exists that you would absolutely love. Tear, pour, live more. 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water. So those bottles you get wherever you go, that hydrates better than water alone. You just mix those two together. It's powered by Liquid IV Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. It's 3 times the electrolytes of the other sports drinks, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, and it's always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So if you've got some restrictions, there's a pretty good chance they can still get you taken care of. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com.
Thirsty Summers. That was my fake radio name back in college.
Did you ever hear Dick Bramers?
No.
Duke After Dark. And so it was hilarious. We'd be sitting. So Corey Provis, when he did radio, would have the first crack at Rocco, and so he'd talk to him alone for their pregame radio hit, and then we would all come in as media, assembled media, and Corey would usually hang out and just take it in. He would always offer up his seat to Dick Bramer, and he'd be like, Duke? And he would just say it in a very so it's a very inside baseball reference if someone calls him Duke. And Corey Provis got way too much enjoyment out of that. And so one time somebody said something to him about wearing short shorts, and I was like, oh, I guess you aren't going to put up your Dukes. So like a Daisy Duke, but also
that's a reference on a reference.
Yeah. And like I always say, my tweets are for like 7 people at any given time. But when the reference hits with those 7 people, they're like, oh my gosh, that's one of the funniest things ever. And then everyone else is like, who is this moron? It's just the way it is.
Did he play like jazz music? The Duke. It sounds like a guy that would, if you call him the Duke on the radio. Was that like a DJ name or was it?
It was his disc jockey name. I think at St. Cloud State. But isn't Ron Swanson Duke Silver on Parks and Rec when he does his secret jazz?
Ask me if I've ever watched Parks and Rec.
I think I know the answer. But anyway, his secret jazz identity. And I don't think I'm spoiling anything. This is more than 10 years ago.
Secret jazz identity.
Yeah.
In the Marvel universe.
No, you just gotta watch it, Dave. You just gotta watch it.
I'm gonna watch it.
By the way, I know the Twins were down 7-0 when they came up to bat the first time. Yeah. But for a moment there, I had a feeling like they could get to Jose Barrios. You had the walk, and then he fell behind Larnach. Larnach drove the ball to left center field, which when Dalton Varshaw's out there, it's where fly balls go to die. I mean, just an absolutely terrific outfielder, whether he's playing left center, whatever. But for that just fleeting moment of 6, 7, 8 pitches there, I almost had this flickering maybe. And then Jose Barrios, by the time he finished 5 innings, had thrown 41 pitches, which to me is an unheard of, unthinkable sum. And, he had it. He had it going. It's certainly probably easier to pitch when you don't have to worry about it whatsoever. But I just thought for the very minimal split second, to start the first inning, there was an eyelash of hope that the Twins could maybe get back into the game.
If I'm being honest with everybody, I didn't see the bottom of the first inning. I saw that the Blue Jays were getting ahead, and I went back and I replayed the inning to see what the hell was the problem with Zebby.
Yeah,
and
wasn't good. And
then by the time I'd done that, the Twins hadn't done anything in the first inning, so I just skipped ahead.
So he walks Willie and then falls behind 2-0 on Larnach, and Larnach just hits an absolute screaming line drive into left center, and Varsho chases it down. He didn't have to dive or anything, but it was just a nice play. Right. A very Byron Buxton-y, Kevin Kiermaier type play. And, I'm just thinking if that ball finds the gap, or if George Springer's out there in center and maybe not as mobile, who knows? Maybe things are a little different. Again, certainly giving up 15 runs and 23 hits, you're probably not really thinking about, they had them where we wanted them. But, game within the game, I just thought, it shows how a pitcher can start rolling simply by having some luck on a batted ball. You throw 4 balls in a row, and then the next guy swings at the first pitch and hits a ground ball double play. And then suddenly you're back in business. And I felt like that's kind of what happened to Barrios in that first inning in a very minimal sense.
Do we have any problem with Zebby throwing 75 pitches in 2 innings and, going 69 pitches in 2 innings, 44 in the first inning? Any problem with that from a, getting his brains beat in standpoint and him being a rookie, or from a, not exactly being competitive in the game anymore, kind of not giving up, but certainly looking ahead to the next few days when, you might have otherwise taxed your higher leverage guys in the bullpen. Did Rocco play that the right way?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I thought about was 44 pitches in the first inning. I don't remember the last time a Twins starter threw that many in the first or any inning, because the Twins internally have, I don't know if it's a formula or just I don't know if it's a hard and fast number, if it is anything like that. But I know right around 40 pitches is when they're like, all right, we got to get this guy out of here. It's not okay to push a guy past that in 1 inning. And I actually went back earlier this year and looked at most pitches in innings, and there was a bunch in the 40s. And one that stood out to me, and it's funny because Twins fans have wanted this guy for a long time, but Frankie Montas in April had like 46 pitches in an inning. And I'm thinking, this is a guy coming off, what did he have, a shoulder, a thoracic outlet? He had some kind of serious arm issue. And then like his second or third start back, he's out there throwing 40-some pitches in an inning. That to me just stood out as kind of crazy. But yeah, 40 pitches is, I think, kind of like a border that you usually don't cross for a lot of teams.
Well, that's I think what the deal is with that isn't so much they're worried about the pitchers stressing themselves physically, but it's that statistically speaking, when you get into the 30s with pitches in an inning, the guy's about ready to be pummeled. Like it's statistically speaking, that's what happens when you get into the upper 30s in pitching. Chances are the other team's going to have a big inning. Well, they already did. Yeah. You know, the horse had left the barn at that point.
Genesis 1-1 all over again.
Right.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I think that maybe I would leave open the potential that it's a little bit of both, but I think you're right too. Just between
in coupling, yeah, it can be. But if you look at, I think the TV guys talked about it. Perkins and Corey talked about how you're a little surprised that they went with them that long, and I think Perkins said, well, he did. I think maybe they're looking at how he finished, and he was able to strike out the side. So stuff still good. And again, I joke about the Twins winning the StatCast World Series sometimes with the things that our wonderful fans point out about how unlucky they are or how lucky the other team is or whatever. But I think, if he's not like obviously laboring, then, and, sweating up a storm, I don't think he's necessarily in danger. So,
well, for the sake of a fun little comparison, I haven't looked yet at the XBA. I'm guessing the Blue Jays had about a 400 XBA in this one. 350.
Yeah, the lesser hits were like in the 3s, and the upper ones were, in the 8s.
Well, so the 4 home runs that they hit tonight, Will Wagner, homer in 30 of 30 ballparks. Addison Barger, I think it's Barger, 30 of 30.
It is Barger somehow, even though the language doesn't do that, but whatever.
Spencer Horwitz, 29 of 30. Dalton Varsho, 29 of 30. And then Nathan Lucas had one that was a triple. I think that was off Kyle Farmer, that was 23 out of 30. So they peppered the ball all night long. And
did they bring the man in white from Toronto to spy?
I don't know, man, but there were no cheapies. There was those balls were absolutely hammered.
Speaking of absolutely hammered, let's take our second break.
Deal.
And then we'll talk about some other things.
Sure. And we love PrizePicks around here. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active users. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because unlike other apps, it's just you picking the numbers. You're not competing against anybody else. You are just trying to say what you think will happen. Will a guy get more than or less than in total bases, fantasy points, RBIs? Sometimes they'll do a combination where it's hits plus RBIs. Honestly, you have to download the app and look at it for yourself because it's really hard to do justice in a 60-second spot. But you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. But all your picks, you kind of put them in there and it gives you a multiplier so that if you put down $5 and your multiplier is 20, you can win 100. And based on the difficulty of those picks, you've got goblin picks that are a little bit less risky, but more likely to win. And then the demon picks where they have the bigger multipliers, but they're a little dicier. But, you can mix and match. You can do a lot of different things. It's available in more than 30 states across the country, by the way, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So make sure you download the app and see if it's available where you are. And, you can turn if you sign up today and get $50 you'll sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Sorry, I was getting confused. It used to be put down what you put down, they would give you back in terms of matching. Now it's if you play $50, you get $50 instantly. I don't know what I'm saying here. You get $50 instantly when you play $5. Sorry, my tongue is moving slower than my mouth. But you don't even need to win. You don't have to win to get the $50. So you could be like the Twins tonight, not even come close to winning. Anyway, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, run your game. And the cat didn't have my tongue there. I think I just started stumbling over myself. It was like, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what happened there.
Well, if only we had like a read that was literally that. That would be, someone should just do that as a commercial.
Yeah.
And then it would sound fine.
Right.
And I blame the copy.
Yep. No, I blame me.
So Manuel Margot left the game at some point with a right groin tightness issue.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to see the young man tomorrow who's been rehabbing his injury in St. Paul?
It sounds like it, yeah. Darren Wolfson of Channel 5 was saying he's looking forward to seeing Brooks Lee when the rosters expand on Sunday, and he wasn't exactly subtle about it. So I think that the writing's on the wall. Lee was off tonight. St. Paul is wrapping up a series in Omaha. So, off night, travel back and join the team with roster expansion. And beyond that, yeah, we'll see if they have to do any roster replacement for Margot, to which I wonder if maybe Deshaun Kiersey might get a chance. He's been so good down there for the Saints. He can play a pretty solid center field, which you've never been able to say about Margot at any point this year. It would allow you to bring do some more things with Austin Martin, Willie Castro, if you want to move him around, especially now with Brooks Lee possibly coming back and playing shortstop. I don't know. I'll be interested to see how long they let it kind of whip in the wind, because a lot of times they're a little conservative with, let's see if this guy can be healthy in a few days. But I don't really see the upside with Margot, if I'm honest. He's a very specific niche player. They don't need him to go wherever they're going. I'd like to get a look at Kiersey. Maybe I'm on an island by myself here, but I think it'd be fun to see him and get him out there running in center field a little bit. What say you?
He's a left-handed batter, but he's got good numbers against left-handed pitchers.
I think no slugging percentage last I saw. Good batting average, good on base, but he didn't slug that much against lefties.
Well, I mean, that's better than some people do in a platoon situation.
Very Luis Arise of him.
Oh, very good. I don't know, like, what's Buxton's status? Even when Buxton comes back, he's not. They're not going to put him in for 7 days in a row. So there'll be some at bats for him. I don't know if there's a couple guys in the bullpen that you could probably switch out to. So
I feel like Josh Winder has to be one of them. I mean, he was so good when he was up here last. And
are they saving his bullets? Has he been pitching not a lot down in St. Paul?
I don't feel like I've seen him in a lot of box scores, but I couldn't say for sure. But Louis Varland just recently pitched, and there was some talk on the broadcast tonight of going to a 6-man rotation in September. And Rocco didn't only not push back on it, but basically said, yeah, it's pretty likely that we're going to do that. So that would probably be where Louis slots in.
We're going to see Varland back in the rotation.
But I don't see the upside there. I mean, I understand pushing guys back, especially when SWR and even Ober to some extent, these guys are all coming up on innings. I won't want to say limits, but innings marks that they've never reached before.
Uncharted territory.
Yeah, that's probably the better way to put it. And so you do have to protect these guys. I just feel like, you're going to need Louis in the bullpen come the end of the month, come October, and maybe he can flip that switch and it doesn't matter. You go from the rotation to the bullpen.
I don't have any doubt that he can. I don't have any doubt. I have lots of doubt about him in the rotation. I have no doubt that you put him in the bullpen tomorrow. If he's had enough time since his most recent performance. Yeah. I think the time is now for Louis to be that guy that Alcala was, and maybe they can still get him right.
Yeah.
But I think that's where Louis is going to help. Honestly.
For sure.
All right. Speaking of guys that they could have added but didn't, the Royals recently picked up Tommy Pham and Robert Grossman. You might know him as Robbie. Waivers, and they made a minor league trade with the Braves for Yuli Gurriel. Yuli Gurriel, who has not really been a good hitter in the majors since 2021.
Yeah.
But he was hitting okay. He was doing Yuli Gurriel type stuff that he did with the Astros with the Braves AAA team.
Gwinnett, I think.
Any of those guys? None of those guys should be. We didn't know about the Margot injury, but we're not going to miss any of those guys, right?
The only one I would have cared about in that instance was Robbie Grossman. And I actually made a fun point on Twitter today. They claimed all those guys who hit lefties, and guess how many left-handed starters there are between the two teams in the mix with them in the division? 1. And he pitched tonight, Matthew Boyd. No left-handed starters for the Twins.
Pitched pretty well, too.
Yeah, he did. He actually looked really good. But I don't know.
They'll play other teams. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but they just need competent major league players.
Sounds like you're talking about the Guardians outfield again.
I know.
Oh man.
I think Grossman, mashes lefties.
Yep.
Pham might have been nice to have as a competent outfielder and a competent player, and he had a nice run last year with Arizona. And so,
they've run in the other direction from him before, though, so I didn't expect that to change.
He is a handful, to use a phrase. I mean, I don't know that he's necessarily a bad clubhouse guy, but he does bring.
He can rub people the wrong way.
And he can slap them the wrong way, but they're on the other team. Jock Peterson wasn't on his team, I would just like to point out. But it could be a guy that brings some distractions to the table. So,
yeah.
Well, that's what's going on with the Royals. But here are the standings, by the way. Cleveland, 77-59. Royals, 75-62. 3 games back in the loss column. Twins, 73-62. So the Twins are even with the Royals in the loss column. They're still 3 behind Cleveland. I'm telling you, a strong week and get some momentum going. And I don't know how many games are left, 127. There's 27 games left. I think they can win 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
And if they win 20 games, they win 93. And I think that wins the Central.
We'll see you in October then.
Right. Oh, we've gone over our 32 minutes.
Yeah, well, then, since we have, let's just do this. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. But if you're looking for a second listen, and we hope you are, check out Locked On MLB. Paul Sullivan is the host. You can call him Sully. He reminds you that every single show. And he's here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help get you ready for the MLB playoffs as we run through the dog days of summer. And boy, did this one feel like a dog days of summer kind of game. Prepare for the Fall Classic, though, with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, just like Locked On Twins, which is your team every day.
That will do it for this episode of Locked On Twins. For our friend in cyberspace, Brandon Warren, this is Dave Brown, saying we are going to Alexei Casilla. Probably tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night. Probably. Hopefully.
If we feel like it. If the Twins win.